All right, traders, I'm going to be recapping the trades that I made within the stock market today. As you can see, I ended up short selling the biggest gainer today, MOSY, at an average cost of $5.27. And then I ended up covering an average cost of $4.98, making a $229 profit on 800 shares. As you can see, these arrows represent where I'd short the stock. I shorted it towards the highs, and then I covered right here before it had that massive spike back towards the high of day, going back towards 547. So I'm going to be explaining to you why I ended up short selling this stock towards, the 527 area, and then why I covered towards the 490s, right? So this is my order history. As you can see, I had two trades today. Let me go back to this. I bought ADXS, another one of the biggest gainers, at 64 cents. Had the right mindset and ended up going to 76 cents. However, I sold for a small loss, which is exactly what my plan had said, which was to risk 2 cents per share to make 6 to 8 cents profit per share. And I put myself in a very good risk to reward ratio. So I'm very, happy for that. Small $38 loss, very, very small risk to make a very big reward, as the stock had ended up spiking to like 76 cents today. So I bought at 64 cents, sold at 62 cents, 50% win rate today, ended up making $190 profit. So this is the order history. As you can see right here, bought at 64 cents at 9:33. 10 minutes later, sold at 62 cents. And then that was ADXS. For MOSY, ended up short selling at 5:24, added more at 5:34, 10:09, 10:10 a.m. And then at 10:35, 10:36 a.m., I ended up covering between 495 and 502. So within this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I read the charts, my perspective on why I'm entering here, why I'm exiting here. This is really going to open your mind up in terms of how I view the stock market in terms of, technical analysis. And it's going to show you my perspective of trading, which, my style of trading one way is, think of me as like a time traveler. What I'm doing is I'm going back throughout the past and I'm capturing trends, right? So I study the past chart history. And when I'm studying the past chart history, I'm looking for these trends. I'm capturing these trends. And then once I get that confirmation that that history is, supposed to repeat itself, I'll execute that trade. So let's kind of get right into the strategy. All right, so I don't like using Trade Zero for the charts. As you can see, this is one of the brokers I use, Trade Zero. It shows you exactly where I entered and exit. However, I don't like using this for charts. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you by Thinkorswim. And guys, if I sound a little different, it's because I'm currently sick, but I really want to make this video lesson because it shows you how well this strategy works. All right, so let's get into it. So MOSY. MOSY, as you can see right here, these charts look nearly identical, right? Same exact pattern. History repeat itself to a T. So it's no luck that I ended up short selling towards the highs, and then I ended up covering literally towards the lows of this crash before it spiked to the highs. There's no luck within that because the trade was based off of history, meaning if history repeats itself, then I'm going to be right to almost the T. And if it doesn't, I'll just be stopped out for my small loss. I'm putting myself in situations where the risk is very, very small and the reward is massive. So let's get right into it. So MOSY. So what I did was I went back to May 14th and I studied this trend, right? So what did the stock do today? It had a massive spike right in the morning. And then what did the stock do on May 14th? It had a massive spike right in the morning. Now, where was the high of day in the morning on May 14th? The high of day was right here at 10:01 a.m. And then you can see it basically retested the high of day at 10:05 a.m. So what it's telling me is around early 10 a.m., the stock topped out and it had a very, very nice sell-off, meaning if you were to short towards those highs, you can make a substantial profit with very, very risk because you're selling high and buying to cover back much lower. This is something that most people don't teach. People just, try to teach buy the breakout towards the highs or buy low, sell high, but they don't talk about selling, short selling high and then buying back to cover low. So that's kind of what I'm going to be showing you within this video on MOSY. So once I identified this trend, I told myself, okay, I'm going to see how it reacts towards 10 a.m. because it already had the massive morning spike. And if I get these bearish confirmations, these tops, then I'm going to start shorting the stock. And then you're probably wondering from there, well, where are you going to cover? Well, I'm studying this chart and I'm looking and I'm saying, okay, this stock had a massive sell-off and it bottomed at 10:30 a.m. So if it has a nice crash within the next 30 minutes, from this 10 a.m. area, then I'm going to be covering. Now, why would I want to do that? Because look at this. It went back all the way towards the highs right before the close. So let's get into this. Knowing this, going into the trade, I paid very close to reactions. Right here, the high of day was at 10:05 a.m., nearly identical to May 14th. And then as you can see right here, we have lower highs. Lower highs are forming, bearish confirmation right here. These red candles mean it's that trend reversal is coming, new lower highs. So I'm shorting into these new lower highs, and I'm seeing that the timing is absolute 100%. And then the stock quickly crashes, and then I'm saying, okay, it just went from $5.74 all the way to 480s very, very quickly. And it's about 10:30 a.m. and the stock is trying to push back up here, trying to break out here. And if it breaks 505, then it's going to go back towards 530s. And history is telling me also it's going to try to keep on spiking, and the low is going to be right around there. So I'm telling myself I better play it safe, get out and take profits. As you can see, I ended up drawing these arrows for you guys on Thinkorswim so you could see exactly where I entered and exit. They're all aligned, with the orders that I'd showed you on the trade zero. So I want to make it easier for you to see exactly where it is that I had entered and exit. But guys, just to give you some perspective, look at this, guys. These charts are identical. Patterns repeat themselves. People will say technical analysis and this stuff doesn't work. They're not studying the trends. They're not studying the charts. Like, this stuff works. And when it doesn't, we get stopped out for our small losses. And when it does, we're making bank. Like, my risk was literally 10 cents. I was risking 10 cents a share, and I ended up making, basically 40 cents profit per share, almost 40 cents profit per share. So it's a very good risk return ratio. If we do the math on that, let's see. So my average was 527, 498. So I basically made rounded to 30 cents profit per share, and I was risking 10 cents per share. That's a 3.0 risk to return ratio, which is absolutely phenomenal. Very small risk, shorting towards the highs, and a very nice reward on my end. So yeah, that was MOSY, and I just want to show you how important it is, to not only go back and, so you're looking at the daily chart and you're saying like, wow, every time this spikes, it has a massive sell-off at some point. As you can see, it tends to close with a massive sell-off, right? So not just go back on the daily chart, but go back to the actual day of the daily chart and simply study, where was the high of day? How did it react towards certain levels? What were the bearish confirmations? What did the candlesticks look like? What did the volume look like? Things like that, right? That's exactly what I had done. I mean, the chart is literally identical, guys. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you. It's all within the chart, guys. The trade was purely based off of the chart. Like, just look at this. It's literally identical. This is May 14th, and then this is today's chart. So you can literally compare them. They're basically the same exact thing, like literally the entire day, the same exact pattern. So that's how you're able to be so accurate in terms of trading if you base the trade off of history. And like I said, when history doesn't repeat itself, you get stopped out as you would in any other trade, right? It's just the beauty of basing your trades off of history is when you're right, you're going to be right basically to a T. Your entry is going to be phenomenal. Your timing is going to be phenomenal. Everything's going to be very, very on point because the trade is based on something that had happened in the past. And the more you study that past and the more you make your trade, similar and related to that past, the more accurate it's going to be. Like MOSY, the timing was accurate. The entry was accurate. This was phenomenal. Like I said, there's no luck in terms of me exiting this literally towards the lows after this crash. There's no luck within that because it was all identified within this chart. So yeah. And then ADXS, let's go over ADXS. All right, so ADXS, this one's going to be quick. So let's see. So this is where I bought the stock right here. Ended up buying into this higher push of pre-market highs turning into support. And then it did have a nice breakout to 66 cents. I was aiming for a bit more. So I ended up holding through. My price target was towards around 70-ish cents, right around there. I wanted a little bit more. And then I ended up selling as it went back, towards under my initial entry. So yeah. Now, in terms of the daily chart, I saw it had a massive gap up, and I saw that potential to fill this gap right here at 66 cents, which it did, but it had that negative reaction after filling the gap, so I decided to sell. So not much to it. I also liked it because of the strong volume push it had in the pre-market. I figured it'd have a morning spike. But yeah, it's just unfortunate. But I had to get out because once these previous highs turn into resistance, that's bearish. That means it's going to go back towards the low of day, which it did. But then it pushed back up and went back to 76 cents. So yeah, guys, that was it. That was a quick recap. If you like and enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. And let me know what you think.